Hi, today we discuss about conflict management. So conflict is the beginning of consciousness. So today we discuss about understanding of conflict management, the big why, reason for workforce conflict, of task, so relationships and values of conflict management in organizations, keys to a conflict free workplace, referees your organizations, detoxing your company of conflict conclusions. So, first of all, we discuss about understanding the conflict management. A conflict is a struggle or sharp disagreement between people who have different opposing ideas and interests in a subject. So, conflicts can arise within one person, between two people, or even more groups. It's a natural part of life and can either give rise to positive outcomes or incredibly destructive ones, depending on how it is resolved in an organization. So, conflict arises from changes in relationships, life changes, power struggles, and poor communications. So we see it everywhere around us and in our personal life also, in our relationships, and even between countries. The workplace has not escaped its clutches, and conflicts is common in organizations. So it left unresolved conflict within a company can impact employee relationships. It can take a significant toll on trust, lower morale, increase stress and health risks, increase absenteeism, decrease motivation, performance and productivity also. So, and even lead to high employee turnover. So there is a high change or chance of conflict arising wherever people work together. So, presenting a massive challenge to which management must respond constructively. So, conflict is the process of limiting the negative aspects of conflict while increasing its positive effects. It aims to teach groups also conflicts resolutions skills that will help them effectively communicate when in conflict with a team member. So let us talk about the conflict management in details. The big why reasons for workforce conflict. So difference beliefs, perceptions and values affects the way each of us approaches work and problem solving when employees find it hard to accept others' methods. Clashes arises. Here are some of the most common reasons for workplace conflicts. So competition for scarce resources. Anything of value, information, budget space, office services, personnel within an organization can be sought after by several employees. So a scarcity of these valuable resources can lead to conflicts between employees. So when resources are limited in an organization, every department head will try to obtain the maximum they can of those resources for their respective departments. That can give rise to conflicts between departments. So, unequal distributions of resources between employees or departments also give rise to conflicts. So, time pressure. Some employees can perform better when they have to meet the tight deadlines in an organization, but some employees have destructive emotional reactions that are triggered by stress. So when employees cannot meet deadlines, they might try to shift their responsibilities to another employees. That could give rise to conflicts among employees and even between department also. So unreasonable policies, rules, standards, and procedures, ambiguous goals and objectives. So when employees cannot attain policies, regulations, standards, and procedures, it leads to dysfunctional conflicts with their managers. On the other hand, if an organization's goals and values are not clearly defined and easy to understand, it could obstruct to the flow of work. Now, communication breakdowns. So, barriers to communications are a significant cause of conflicts within an organization and give rise to misunderstanding. So, when employees have the freedom to communicate their problems with their higher ups, it triggers inadequate communications, misinterruptions, or selections interpretations that often lead to disputes between employees also. So, personality clashes in organizations. The most common reason for workplace conflicts is a clash of personalities. People have different value of perceptions, and when these do not match with their peers, it leads to sharp disagreements also. And between employees, between management and employees, or between a manager and employee. So two employee or two managers who are both dogmatic and autocrat are bound to have the clashes in their viewpoints. So when employees have different attitude in the workplace and conduct themselves differently in organizations, so conflicts arises when employees have different attitudes in the workplace and conduct themselves differently, so organizational conflicts arise. Now, overlapping or ambiguous jurisdictions. So, unclear job boundaries, such as the range of powers and duties, can create competition between managers. Conflicts can also occur between departments for control of resources also. So, unrealized expectations. When an organization fails to meet its employees' expectations, employees are left feeling dissatisfied. On the other hand, unrealistic expectations result in destructive conflicts. Task interdependence. Two departments that are interdependent for directions, supplies, or even informational must coordinate their activities. When their department cannot find a way to coordinate their actions, it could lead to conflict between them. So, status issues. When employees disagree with the organizational status hierarchy, they become resentful and frustrated. Employees try their best to improve their positions or protect their current situations, and conflict can arise from status discrepancies. So status conflicts also arises from different in job assignments, status symbols, working conditions, and inadequate rewards also. So now we discuss about the talks and relationship values. So workplace conflicts is categorized into three types: talks, relationships, and values. The three categories are commonly seen in the workplace. And the first step to effective conflict management is to understand this type of conflict and the consequences of leaving them unaddressed. Task conflicts includes disputes involving issues related and employees' workflows, assignments, distribution of resources, a different on policies and procedures, and managing expectations of work. Relationship conflicts arises from different in personalities, styles, attitudes to work, tasks, and even difference in conflict styles. So people who have nothing in common are often thrown together. to work in an organization. So it's not surprising that relationship conflicts are frequent in organizations. Value conflict, a difference in value and identities, including difference in ethics, politics, regional and norms, lead to summarize and unvoiced conflicts. So, while most organizations do not encourage political and religious discussions in the workplace, values and identities plays an essential role in the context of policies or in workplace work decisions. So, workplace conflicts, whether they are task based and relationship based or value based, lead to conflict within one's between individuals or between groups. So conflict within one's value conflicts within oneself usually arises when there is an internal conflict between one's values that one is expected to do. So, for example, an employee asked to regular work overtime may feel it is against his core value of maintaining work life balance. So, role conflicts when an employee is following a set of orders that contradict the second set of rules, it leaves an employee confused. For example, if a customer care executive is ordered to be very helpful to customers but is then reprimanded for spending too much time on each customer. So this would cause conflict in this executive mind. So choice conflicts, having to choose between roles. For example, a police officer attending a best friend's party and drugs are used must decide whether he wants to do his duty as a police officer or as a friend. So interpersonal conflict, it is the most widely recognized type of workplace conflicts. It would be a conflict between two employees or two managers who are competing for the same job positions, resources, or power. So interpersonal conflicts can also occur from disagreements over the organizational goals and objectives also and policies. So interpersonal conflicts arises from personality clashes. So conflicts between an individual and groups, all members of a group must adhere to specific norms or behaviors to achieve specific goals. A person might want to remain in a group but may disagree with the group's rules and practices used to achieve these goals also. In an organization, for example, if tips are shared equally among waiters, there might be a waiter in the group who believes that he deserves to keep his tips to himself, which causes conflict between him and the other members of the group also. So, with the other groups he worked with the hotel. So, intergroup conflicts, organizations are made up of a network of several departments, teams, groups, sections. Conflicts between these are very common and relatable. Intergroup conflicts is one between the union and management of an organization. Another example is the conflict between line and staff members where both groups are interdependent but cannot find a way to work together. Interorganizational conflict. So organizations that depends on each other for procurement of raw materials or good can end up disagree with each other and with regards to policy issues, delivery times, quality, quantity, etc. Interorganizational conflicts can also arise between unions and organizations, employees, their members, government agencies that regulate organizations and the organizations themselves. So key to a conflict-free workforce, it is critical to accept that workplace conflict is inevitable. Good news is the between conflicts and lines opportunity for learning, embrace conflict and look at its way to stimulate change and innovations. So conflict can be resolved by managers opposing teams or individuals. As a mediator, you must keep the following points in mind. Ensure open communications, the key to conflict management. Set rules, define acceptable behaviors and establish meeting guidelines. For example, both parties must agree express their view calmly and avoid interruptions. Be empathetic of both conflicting parties. Choose a neutral locations for your meeting with them. A cafeteria or a work outside are excellent idea for meeting. Approach the conversations strategically. Keep in mind the interest of both sides and understand both sides. As a mediator, you must have excellent listening skills. Avoid uh, in limitations, and these do not solve the problem as a long term basis. Acknowledge that resolving conflict will take time and require patience. Focus on the issues and not the conflicting individuals. Seek outside help with necessary. And find the source of conflicts. Accept the fact there is a conflict. Find out its source and gather as much information about it can you before you address, and it more informations you have, the easier it is to resolve the conflict. Also, you can ask a series of questions to identify its sources. So look beyond the conflicting incidents. So a particular event, even a minor ones, triggered conflict that festers over time ultimately one side breaks, resulting in visible and disruptive behavior. The source of the dispute, the trigger incidents, or is forgotten, and only the present behavior is addressed. So request solutions. Once you have got both parties' viewpoints, and next step is to find ways to resolve the conflicts also. So identify the solutions, and both the disputing parties are ready to support, agree on a solutions, and referee your organization. Senior management plays an integral part in a company with wide conflict management. So leader who ignore conflicts, allows conflicts to fester, will find that over time there's a toxic workplace environment. The best solutions to avoid that kind of situations is to confront conflict head on, and conflict give you a chance to build trust and relationship with your employees. And do not prevent or avoid conflicts. Time conflict management wisely. Decide a course of actions. Know your boundaries also. Respect difference. Confront the tensions, and detoxing your company's conflicts. So take immediate and practical affirmative steps. Exorcise the conflict from your body so that it does not stick with you and slow you down. Concentrate on the future and not to the past. So the conclusion is the conflict in organizations in inevitable. However, conflict is not necessarily a bad word when managed well and kept free of personal attacks. Creative conflicts often leads to rise decisions making. However, like all things that are learned, managing conflict is also a skill that everyone working in organizations needs to master. Dive to the sections below and get more insights on mastering these very important skills. So thanks for watching my MBA channel. Thanks a lot.